Hello, welcome. These are my thoughts on Lies of P. You might have already seen me talk about it on Drop Frames if you watch the show, but Lies of P is a fantastic game. You should definitely play it if you're a Souls fan or you're just wanting a challenge. It is a 10 out of 10 game for me. I could not recommend it more. And these are kind of my thoughts on everything now after finishing the game. At 27 hours and 34 minutes played, I had the quote-unquote true ending. I didn't use any summons or throwables or anything like that. I played a strength build, which is called Motivity in the game. I was using a giant two-handed boss sword, which if you've played the game, you can kind of realize or figure out what that is. I also heavily utilized the puppet string arm ability, Legion part, I think is what it's called in game. I maxed that out and highly recommend actually maxing that out because it's very strong. I didn't really interface or interact rather with any of the other Legion arms, but I've heard that they are all quite good, to be honest. I've heard a lot of different combos. So let's just kind of go through it all. I won't have any spoilers until the very end. I'll make it very apparent when I will get into that. And even then, I'm just going to say like what my favorite bosses are and kind of give my thoughts on the overall story. With spoiling everything. But that's all at the end of the video for now. In general, the story's great. It actually tells a linear story from kind of start to finish. And you don't have to watch a video after playing the game to kind of understand it. I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with having to do any of that. So before you just hold down backspace before you tell me how, a Souls fan shouldn't say that, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's nice just to have a story. That's kind of cool. I kind of like it. Combat. Obviously, that's kind of the main point of the game, the main draw of the game. And they absolutely nailed it. And I am a massive stickler for, Souls likes. Things like, I guess you could put Neo in there. I don't really consider Neo a Souls like, but things like the first Lords of the Fallen or the Surge, or games like that in my opinion have always just missed the mark completely. This feels like a Souls game in every sense of the word, and in a lot of ways it kind of eclipses them with kind of like a mix of Sekiro pairing, Bloodborne HP loss recovery, and then you have general things like the Estus flask and stuff like that. It is a fantastic game. The animations look sick. You have those pop-off moments when you kill a boss. The dopamine hits are definitely there. I absolutely loved it. There's multiple times in the game where I got that sense of satisfaction that you get from playing a Souls game. And so I think they absolutely nailed it with that. Speaking of nailing things, the music. It's way too good for this game. I don't understand. I read somewhere that this is from like DJ Max or something, which is another product that I think maybe NeoWiz publishes. But the music is ridiculous. And it's in the game, and it actually has like story things tied into it, I would say. It's way too good. It's really freaking good. And you want to actually just sit there and listen to it. And they have the option to, when you're kind of walking around in the main hub, to listen to the music. And like I said, there are story reasons to do it. So do it. It's worth it. And then last but not least, the other thing to touch on, the graphics and performance of this game, absolutely insane. I think it's running on Unreal Engine 4. So it's very optimized. I was getting like 150 FPS pretty much at all times with everything maxed out, RTX enabled, 4K resolution. It ran like an absolute dream. The game played like a dream. I had no crashes. I never had any issues. There was never any bugs. They really did kind of everything. It was very well done from a performance point of view. What else is there? Sorry, the dog's distracting me. Great world building. Absolutely love what they did with the world. The voice acting, kind of hit and miss, I would say. There's really good bits. There's one character in particular that I think there's kind of like 2 or 3 characters that kind of stole the game in terms of voice acting and whatnot, but there was also some other characters that were a little flat for my interest, but they're not. That's not why you're playing the game. At least that's not why I play the game. So it didn't really bother me that too much. Combat, going back to that real quick and talking about like the balance, depending on if you want to play, like a dex or a strength build. Those are kind of your only two options, but they do have a massive amount of weapons in this game. And not only can you choose from a massive amount of weapons, you can also choose certain parts of weapons to match and mix with other parts of weapons. I didn't really interact too much with that because I used a boss weapon for my playthrough. And so once you get a boss weapon, you can't mix and match them, but there's quote unquote normal weapons which scale at the same value. They scale up to +10. Boss weapons scale up to +5. I think in a normal run, you can max out 2 boss weapons and maybe 2 normal weapons to +10 and +5, not respectively, I guess. But yeah, it's awesome. You can kind of find a weapon that suits you. You're finding weapons all game long. I didn't find mine until, I would say, about halfway through. And up until then, I was using another boss weapon. So it's really good. I liked it. And all the weapon types are really, really fantastic to play. Bad things. Well, I say bad things, but these are just things that I was negative about, I would say. They're not necessarily like the worst things, but no game is perfect. The environments are kind of a little stale. Things are, I would say, a little corridory. I wouldn't say linear. I think the level design and the level structure is very much of like Dark Souls ilk. But it is kind of stale in a lot of parts. I wish there was like more things happening. I don't know how to expand on that, but I think like something like Alen Ring or whatnot kind of spoiled me a little bit on all that. Enemy variety, a little lacking for a 20-30 hour game. For I think a rather fast playthrough. Most people are spending like 40 or 50 hours on this with just boss attempts and whatnot. The variety is a little bit lacking. You're still killing, for the most part, things that you're killing in the beginning of the game, at the end of the game. There's also a handful of bosses that they don't necessarily get reused, but the animations and the designs pop back up, if that makes sense. In interesting and cool ways, but at the same time, I guess you could say that, enemy variety is a factor there. The game is very difficult for what it's worth. If you're a non-Souls player and you're watching this, it's one of the more difficult, probably like top 4, top 5 difficult Souls games. A lot of people are struggling with a lot of different factors in this game, but it's difficult. So just be ready for that. Get ready to bash your head against the boss in levels and whatnot, because it's tough. It's tough for sure. My other biggest gripe with the game, Timothée Chalamet looks exactly like the character that you play, and I really don't like that. I would say for 90% of my playthrough, I had a donkey mask on, or a cat mask, or a fox mask, or something mask. I didn't take that off until kind of later on in the game for reasons that Darkeros, my moderator, said I am a weeb for. But everyone knows that's not true. So that's not the case at all. I will also say hitboxes can be a little bit weird. They definitely give like some iframes to bosses on recovery that are kind of strange, and you gotta like understand those and get used to that type of stuff. And sometimes the hitboxes can just be a little bit wonky. It's got all the Souls trappings of like being up against a wall and the camera just completely spazzing out as you're getting just relentlessly demolished at the same time. But those are all things that kind of come with the territory of being a third-person action game. No one's really cracked the code on any of that just yet. It is what it is. Final thing I will say before we get into spoilers, there is a post-credit scene, and the post-credit scene is absolutely wild. It's not what I expected whatsoever, but I am fucking on board. I hope that we get to see more of the Lies of P world and Lies of P IP, because man, what a great first go for these developers. I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park. And if we get DLC or even another full game and it continues kind of where we left off, I'm fucking on board. Let's go. Okay, spoilers. Spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My favorite boss was Lex Asia or Lex Asia. I'm not sure how to say her name. I think she's like the third final or fourth final boss. I killed her in 4 attempts. I absolutely love the design of her. She's basically like, I'm going to say something controversial. See, she is like the Nameless King if the Nameless King was as cool as the Nameless King's arena. Stay with me here. The actual Nameless King, really lame. But the actual arena that you fight him in, 10 out of 10. It's like all of the power fantasies that you want. Lex Asia, I think, delivers on like an animation level, a design level, a difficulty level. She's awesome. She's definitely, I think, kind of the millennia of this game, if you're an Alen Ring fan or know that name. But yeah, she was definitely my favorite boss. I think I killed in like 4 or 5 attempts, something like that. I killed Manus in 3. I killed the final boss and the final boss in 2. The boss that I was stuck on the longest was the King for about an hour. And then Victor was somewhere around like 30 or 45 minutes right behind that. I thought the story was, you know, fine. But that post-credit scene, I can't believe that Dorothy is in here. I mean, where do you go after that? I don't know. It's kind of wild. I don't know what to think about that. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Lies of P. Definitely go check it out. I believe it's on Game Pass. There's no demo anymore. That might come back. But at the moment, there's no demos. You should play this game, especially if you're a Souls fan. It is worth checking out. That'll do it. I'll probably do some more thoughts videos on more games that I complete. Thank you so much for watching, and find the VODs for this, I think, all on Twitch. We'll probably get a playlist created for it. If Reggie is feeling frisky, he might upload it to the YouTube channel, itmeJP2. We'll see, though. I don't know. He kind of does what he wants, even if I tell him to do otherwise. That's that. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to the sub button, I should say, on your way out. And we'll see you next time for another Thoughts video. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Bye-bye.